amateur fantasy drafters, the mistake that they make is they'll go, hey, I have two running backs. Maybe I have a quarterback. Hey, dude, we're pros here. That's why we have this show, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
I think some of the things, though, is a big mistake is that people will go, oh, hey, I'm set at the running back position, without realizing there is a massive need for a third running back. So you can look number one receiver. You could look a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. You could look Julio Jones. You could look an Odell Beckham. Or you could get a third running back and completely lock down that position. And obviously this is a 1-2 draft, but if this pick was coming in at about 7, 8 in the first round, which is what it would actually most likely be, I think you got to look a couple different options. I think you could go either Le'Veon Bell with the New York Jets, or you can also go Los Angeles Chargers running back Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon is a little disgruntled from what we're hearing. He wants a new contract. He's not going to get it. And Le'Veon Bell, I think, has a chip on his shoulder and something to play for. So in this scenario, I would lock down the running back position and take New York Jets running back Le'Veon Bell.
All right, Rick. Jets running back Bell, which that seems kind of weird to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a solid pick to have a third running back. We just don't know what type of football shape he's really in. I'm assuming he's probably in excellent shape. And, what the team's going to be like in New York, but I'm sure he'll get fed a whole bunch. He's a good third-round back, good goal line guy, too, so he'll probably get you a lot of points just based off that.
Ed Kracz, Bell to Team Dividend.
Yeah, man, I like that pick. Adams, Team Dividend, man, he's done his homework. I like Bell as a pick. I think that's a good, solid pick. You got the second-year quarterback in Darnold, who I think will benefit greatly by having a running game, and they're going to give him the ball, and they're going to throw it to him, too. Give Darnold some nice, easy throws, and Bell can do both in and out of the backfield. He's got, I would presume, fresh legs after missing last year, so much safer pick than Melvin Gordon because you just don't know about Gordon. The report is he's going to sit out. He's prepared to sit out the year unless he gets a contract. So I would kind of steer away from Melvin Gordon, even though he is a supreme talent. But too big of a question mark. So that's a good pick. I like Bell.
It's the official Balance annual mock draft. We do this every year. The Balance draft is Sunday night, and then the Balance Keeper draft is on Monday night. And again, all of us, but Ed, not trying to call him out, just horsing around. But yeah, all of us are in that league. We got a full roster. We cannot accept anymore. I appreciate those that wanted to play, but we had to shut it off at some point. So you can no longer get into the Balance draft. It booked up pretty quickly. So here's my thing. I like the AFC South. I think it's getting stronger and stronger. I would like to make my next pick a Colt, but it's not going to happen. I'm going to go with Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins with the Houston Texans. I think he's pretty solid, and he's my first wide receiver that I'm picking up. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins with the Houston Texans. Rick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah,
DeAndre
like
Hopkins. I'm sorry, I said Andre.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
And with the Deshaun Watson at quarterback down there, he's a solid pickup that gets you a good amount of points every week. Sometimes he goes overboard on the points. I just don't know what week it's going to be whenever the Texans offense explodes on somebody, but he's going to be the guy right in the middle of it, man. I think that's a solid pick.
Oh, 2 for 2, man. I'm on a roll. Ed Kracz, what are your thoughts? DeAndre Hopkins with the Houston Texans.
Tom, as much as I'd like to give you the triple Philly boo for calling me out for not being in your fantasy league, I got to say it's a good pick. I mean, there's several receivers that I would probably have ranked first, and he would be certainly in that tier. So that's a good solid pick. My concern with the Texans is their offensive line. They're having all kinds of O-line issues down there. And, how much time is Deshaun Watson going to get to throw the ball? But, Hopkins always finds a way to pile up the yards. So that's a good pick.
Adam Jimenez, the pick is yours, sir.
First off, Ed, I always do my homework. So, I mean, I always bring it every week that we possibly can. But I think in this scenario, so I'm good at quarterback 1. I've got running backs 1, 2, and 3. Now's the point where you start looking, what are the best available pass catchers? So with Hopkins off the board, who is, in my opinion, the number one receiver, primarily because there's not many other offensive weapons for that Texas football team, I then turn to a guy that has been held back by subpar quarterback play, been held back because he's been the only legitimate receiver on this team for the bulk of his career, but now has a plethora of weapons on his team. My Cleveland Browns' very own Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, I knew that was coming. I just didn't know when. Riggin, Odell Beckham Jr. goes to Team Jividen.
Yeah, I like the pick. The only question I have is just all the other studs they have on that team, and sharing the ball with everybody like Jarvis Landry and all them. So it's just going to come down to which one is going to be the premier receiver, who's going to be the playmaker, who's going to be the stud. They're going to have to figure all that out and sharing the ball. But I do like the pick.
Ed, what are your thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr.?
Well, Hey, Adam, you're right, man. You haven't let me down with this homework thing yet. If I was a school teacher, I'd give you an A, and that's a good thing. I like what Rick said about you don't know where who that number one guy will be. They do have a lot of weapons, but to me, Odell's the cream of the weapon crop there in Cleveland. And before all is said and done, I think he's going to have a real nice year. I'd be surprised if he didn't have more than 1,000 yards receiving and 8+ touchdowns. So that's a good pick in my book. He would be another guy like DeAndre Hopkins that I have tier 1 in my receiver group.
All right, it's our balanced annual mock draft, and I'm going to just go down a little bit just so that I got somebody in my depth, and I know he's another Browns player. We're talking a lot about the Browns. I like Nick Chubb. I'm going to pick Nick Chubb in my next pick here in the mock draft, fantasy football draft. Ed? Ed, go ahead, and then we'll go with you, Rick.
Yeah, I like Chubb. Again, a guy that is going to give Mayfield the run game. Really came on strong his rookie year last year, and I expect him to take the next step. I don't know if I would have taken him this high, but that's a solid pick. I don't have a problem with Chubb, and like I said, I think he'll take that next step, and I think he'll be a guy that Mayfield will hand the ball to more often than not in that backfield that Cleveland has.
Rick, what are your thoughts on my pick, Nick Chubb?
I like Nick Chubb. I do agree with that. I think you got him too high. I think he's not at that level as high as you picked him just yet, but we don't know about the Browns' offense. Like I said, they got a ton of playmakers, so he's going to get a lot of yards. I would have went Alvin Kamara in that spot right there, Tom, but I like the pick. I just would have went up with a different guy. Just throw a name out there.
Well, I'm trying to put some depth in my chart. Like I said, Nick Chubb may not be my starter. We would see what happens. We'll go ahead and turn this over to Adam. Adam, the Colts play the Browns tonight. Certainly a dual practice. I offered you tickets. You kindly turned me down for a wedding, and as you said, this marriage better work out. So my friend Melissa and her friend Michelle's going. I'm going to another draft party tonight. But I did offer you the tickets, just so you know. I was right there for you, and I even told you to go up there to the practice because they're doing the dual practice, and you didn't want to take the 9 kids that you were helping your wife babysit for. So I did my part, bro. Go ahead. What are your thoughts about tonight's game?
Tonight's game, I think the Colts are going to be coming out aggressive. I think they're going to have to start preparing for potential life without Andrew Luck in week 1. Which is I love the Browns, but my mom's from Anderson, lived there her whole life. So I claim dual citizenship with the Browns and the Colts. But I think the thing that they have to be really careful of is we can't have any more injuries. So it will be interesting to see how many plays, how many snaps the ones get from Frank. I think the Browns are going to try to come out and make another statement. They were the hot team of the offseason. And then as the offseason went on, everybody just kind of seemed to look for reasons why not to like them. And I think that has really galvanized the team. You got a lot of dudes playing with a chip on their shoulder, like Odell, who basically felt like the Giants said that he wasn't. He was a pariah on a cancer and they didn't want him on the team. He's looking to prove them wrong. I think you've got a guy in head coach Freddie Kitchens that's trying to play football the right way as a former Alabama quarterback. In Browns practice all summer, we've heard Kitchens say, we will be the most physical team on the field. We will be the most physical team on the field. They've played in pads from the day that they could, almost every single practice. I think the Browns come out tonight, try to set the tone as to physically who's going to do well, and I think the Colts are really just going to be like, let's get through tonight and avoid injury, because any more injuries to major players, and now the Colts could be looking like a lost season. So I think the Browns are going to come out and try to make a statement, and the Colts are going to kind of have the foot halfway on the gas pedal just to be cautious.
Yeah, I know a lot of season ticket holders with the Colts are a little worked up. Ed, camp has broke across the NFL. Let's get your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL across the board before we continue on with our mock draft.
I think the Colts in this game today have to kind of be careful with Jacoby Brissett. They're in a tough spot. You want to get him ready to play that season opener should Luck not be ready. But you don't want to do it in a game where he risks injury. You look in Philadelphia where they lost their second quarterback in as many games this past weekend, this past Thursday night when Cody Kessler went out with a concussion, and the week before it was Nate Sudfeld. So, they were trying to get Kessler ready to maybe be that backup for Carson Wentz for the first few weeks until Sudfeld's wrist heals, and then Kessler went out and got a concussion. So you really have to be careful in these preseason games. And, again, I think I mentioned last week that I don't put a lot of stock into them. I think, and more teams are doing this, they're really not playing guys. You look at the Rams who are going to Hawaii to play the Cowboys. Sean McVay's not taking 20 of the players with him, and they're all his starters. So, there's a philosophy where now teams are kind of using practices and training camp. You really can't do a whole lot of live hitting and stuff, but you can do a lot of thud sessions, as Doug Peterson likes to call them. You can take a lot of reps, ones versus ones, and that's kind of been the Eagles' approach through this training camp as they get their kind of game work in during practice, going first team against first team with a lot of reps for both of those sides. And it's a little bit more controlled than a game would be. So, the Eagles have the Baltimore Ravens coming to town Monday for joint practices Monday, Tuesday. Carson Wentz is going to get a lot of more reps in these two practices. I'm sure he won't play in the third preseason game. So, all these teams really have to be careful, in my opinion, of injuries. Adam mentioned the Colts, and that's the number one thing. And even if you're Freddie Kitchens, you don't want to expose your starters to too many reps. Because so much can go wrong on one play. If a second-team offensive tackle misses a block and, barrels in on your second-string quarterback and knocks him out with an injury for, the season or a couple weeks, it's not ideal. And I just think the NFL needs to do something about the preseason. 4 games is too many. The way teams are approaching them now, nobody's playing their starters, and fans across the league are being forced to pay for tickets to go watch other teams' backups, players that aren't even going to make the roster. So I don't put a lot of stock in it. You just have to watch against injury. That's my thing.
All right, it's our official Balance NFL mock draft. The Balance Fantasy Draft is tomorrow night and Monday night. Riggin, college football contributor, joins us as breaks down our picks. Ed Kracz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, joins us, as well as Super Browns fan Adam Jividan. I think it's your pick, Adam. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I think so.
Go right ahead.
Quick, though, before I get to that pick, Ed, the Eagles, it looks like they just signed a new backup quarterback, Josh McCown, a good veteran who's been everywhere and probably knows every offense that could possibly be instilled.
Yeah, and that's a valid point there, Ed. I know you guys were in a battle or had a quarterback dilemma for that number 3 quarterback. So real quickly, we breaking news there. Thanks for letting us know that, Adam. What are your thoughts, Ed, on that?
Well, the Eagles needed to sign somebody, and they needed to sign somebody that is comfortable knowing he probably isn't going to have a job in 2 weeks. because they really only need